Hello and welcome to this week's Old School Q&A live stream. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I'm your host, Mod Gambit, and joining me on the sofa this week are Mods Bruno.
Hey.
Mod Wolf.
Hello.
And Mod Ash.
Hello.
Hi, hope you're all having a good week. I'm going to kick things off with the art that we've gathered this week that we wanted to show off. If our lovely producer Mod John is able to bring them up. I've got a few images I want to share with you. Have I said something?
No, exactly.
Okay.
Whoa, that's sick.
So this first piece is by previous Golden Gnome winner, Legend Arts. He tweeted this the other day. I think it looks, well, just looks amazing. I will point out that he said it's unfinished. Apologies to him for showing this maybe a bit early, but I couldn't not just looking at how good it is.
Oh yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? It's definitely not finished. Wow.
It's a work in progress, so go
That's
easy.
Insane.
I wonder what more needs to be added to it, because it's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love this. I thought this was amazing. Well worth showing.
Maybe yelled a bit loudly for people to make that. That's really good. I love Legend Arts stuff. I like when he does like the mismatches of like people's faces and melds them into things. It's always good as well.
That's quite a grin on the demon. I think I saw something similar on a Venom poster. It's very nicely done, especially the way it seems to be glowing, despite that it's not a glowing picture.
Yeah,
So.
I like the eyes and the mouth as well. The glow that's going on. Is that Diablo? No.
Yeah, wanted to show that off.
Let's hope that the adventurer can pick up the sword that they're going to face the demon with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I know it's not Diablo for the record. Before somebody calls me out on it, I'm not saying. Oh!
So our second piece of art came up on Reddit from T-Tails. Nice perspective shot of a clue hunter about to get it handed to him, I guess. From
It's not even a gilded spade, man. It's not even gilded.
Yeah.
I like the outfit chosen for the clue hunter.
Yeah.
I saw. Yeah, it's kind of. He's got the glory, but the rest looks a bit free to play-ish.
No, I meant the clue hunter.
Oh, the clue hunter himself. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw a post the other day where somebody killed a clue hunter and he got like all of his scrolls from his scroll book, and he got like a 30 mil drop, and it's like, and this is why we kill people with spades.
Oh man.
Never know what they got.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to get spades from someone.
So our final piece of art I wanted to show off from Durham X on Reddit was sort of the reverse. It's a clue hunter getting their own back in this 3D render.
That's brilliant.
A very bold clue hunter in full graceful in Deep Wild.
Why is the hole only as big as the base of the handle, and there isn't like a slit for where the spade went through?
Maybe it heals up because he had a shark.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But yeah, no, I particularly like this one as well.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So thank you for those. I'll move on to the usual announcements then. So !Runefest will bring up the chat link for getting your tickets. If you're still interested, please buy tickets and join us next month. Actually, we're only a month away now.
We got a popper?
Yeah, we've got
That's some production value right there. Good job, producer John. Well done.
Please come and see us. We'd like to meet you.
I like that.
Yeah, come and see us. Come and listen to the keynotes where we're going to reveal the big updates of next year. Come get your merch that Mod Wolf and I are sporting for you.
Ooh, right.
That one?
We've got t-shirts and hoodies, which you can have your usernames printed on the back of, I believe.
We've got suntans.
And also
Love a
the
burn.
RuneFest app is ready for download. There's not a whole lot on it yet, but there'll be a couple features pre-event. And obviously when the event is live, there'll be more stuff on there for you to look at and interact with.
Come to sunny England. He didn't get that here.
That's it for RuneFest. So the next thing I wanted to touch on was Bounty Hunter. We've had a couple of you guys asking about it. I believe there's still a command !BH to take you to the design blog. Just so you guys know what's going on there. We've taken on your feedback and suggestions and decided sort of what we'd like to change, what we'd maybe like to keep the same. And we'll be posting a second, not a second design blog, but a second blog with changes to the design as well as the things we'd like to poll. Hopefully next week. You guys see something funny in the chat?
Nope.
It's like having school kids laughing at the back of the classroom to themselves while the teacher's talking.
Sorry, sir.
So yeah, we'll have that blog out next week, hopefully. There's just a couple of things to iron out still. Things like how is this going to affect World 45 Deadman, because the BH shop exists there, but you can't obviously play the minigame. So we're talking to that community in particular. I think besides that, there's maybe one or two small things, but we're almost ready to go and pitch that second design to you guys. And I believe I'm safe in saying that we'll have a beta ready for you hopefully in October, once everything's polled and ironed out.
You weren't really safe saying that, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
close around.
All right.
Well, that's what we'd like to do.
What we'd like to do.
It's tentative. The other thing I wanted to mention was Grotesque Guardians. So this is something that has come up a lot in suggestions. We've had plenty of questions asked about it on Reddit in particular, the thread where we ask you guys for Q&A questions. You guys have said that as a mid-level boss you'd like to see several improvements to it, and there's quite a lot of stuff you'd like us to look at and go through. So at this stage, what I'd like to commit to, rather than going through all of them as questions individually now, is say that we're going to read them all in that thread in particular. If you have any, go back and make sure you've put them in. We'll refine them, put them into the backlog, and then have them ready for consideration when we're making our, making our decisions on which content to visit next once we're done with things like the Runefest reveals and the Bounty Hunter rework. And that about covers things for all the announcements. If everyone is happy, I'd like to move on to the questions then, get other people here on the sofa involved instead of me monologuing. Our first one is, will there ever be new ores and bars added to Old School RuneScape? There's a second part to this question, which is
A list of which ones they'd like us to add.
no suggestions, unfortunately, but they do mention that the mining and smithing skills still have rune at the highest tier, which feels a little bit outdated, and maybe a rescaling of these skills could be nice, particularly for free to play. What do you guys think?
What are your thoughts on that?
If there's fitting content and we think there's a need to it, yeah. Bars and things like smith, like by bars, I'm assuming you'd also want a set of armor, a set of weapons.
Right, presumably.
Or just like, yeah, I'm not expecting people to ask for a single bar that's used in a single quest, because I think there already is a lunar bar,
Yep.
and that's not used for anything. So
Yeah.
It'll be more than a single quest eventually.
yeah,
I think it's one of the oh yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah. That's
Oh yeah, that's coming out. That thing. I think when I hear about mining and smithing rework for Old School, and when I hear about new bars and re-tiering stuff, I've got to give credit to RuneScape. I think their mining and smithing rework went very well. Unless I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it went well for them.
It did. It was really successful and popular.
That being said, I think that with Old School in particular, people play Old School to remember kind of core key aspects of Old School, and this is like a true Old School thing. The way don't get me wrong, yeah, it's kind of weird that the highest tier thing is Runite, and that's been out of date for a long time. I think that although it might be useful for this kind of skill, I just don't think it fits Old School.
There's a lot of things that feel very iconic. 99 being your full rune, level 99 being the top of the skill progression, among other things. Things I would be very, very sorry to see changed, even if there could be cool content above level 99, but we could equally do that content in some other way without changing the established things.
Absolutely. And then I guess the next point of that then is if you were to add new stuff, similarly again, RuneScape is so far gone from what Old School is in terms of its tiering and how it works that they had the opportunity to add different tiers with their melee armor because they are so far ahead than us. Like, what do we add in place if we were to push stuff down? Because we don't really want anything stronger than what's already in the game, or substantially stronger. So, like, what does that get filled with? Just junk that you then turn in for nothing? Like, you just get smelt off cuts that you give away? There's just not much there.
Now, within minigames, one can do, with isolated places as minigames, a raiding dungeon maybe. One could have an entirely separate scale that is specific to that area without it affecting the rest of the game. But questions like this often feel like, could we radically redesign a major part of the game? Yes, we really could. but a lot of people come to Old School because we didn't.
If anything, I'd look at things like Artisan's Workshop, not in the same way it worked, but in the sense that, like, I think to do the strong version of Rune there, and the strong version of Mithril, the tiers got shunted up, so it kind of made a bit more sense there. But it was more of an experience training thing than anything else, that one, back then. But the stuff we can do, I think, without actually changing mining and smithing itself. I don't want to go on much longer, I think. I think we've been on that for a while, but yeah.
A suggestion or two I've seen in the chat, I suppose if we did move something like, and this is just for the sake of argument, I'd totally accept that we probably wouldn't do this just for the sake of it being such an iconic thing that's been in the game, well, for so long. What we could do potentially is if we were to move Rune down, say, there'd then be space for something like Orichalcum, i.e. dragon smithing, if that was something we wanted to release, and then maybe even Obsidian as well. Those kind of sets, maybe we could allow people to smith if the right content was there to introduce it, but even then it's maybe still a bit too fundamental of a thing to change.
It's just it also means changing the experience you get from Runite and then shunting that down and then reducing alchemy costs to make it so that the higher tier things aren't so much higher than Runite, and it's just not. I think it's. I don't want to pull the iconic line here, but it's one of those you think you want it, but you don't kind of scenarios. I said it. I just don't think it's right for our game, and I don't think that many people do as well.
All right. Well, you say you want it, but actually the chat's actually absolutely destroyed the suggestion. So I'm gonna
we could
move
do a
on.
straw poll if we wanted to. They say enough no that
I'm confident the direction this would go in. I'll move on to the next question, which is so the partnerships poll, which included player-owned house styles, failed. But with the release of a new POH portal in Prif, are we going to get a new house style based around the elves? And are any more styles coming?
So I certainly hope so. It really is mostly a job for the artists because, well, obviously it would be a job for the artists, and they would have been able to do it for the partnerships thing, just to be able to do it now. This isn't a very nice message to have to give, but the thing about the partnerships is that they were commercial. There would have been, money changing hands in that deal, and that meant that the artists would have been made available for it. When it's a cosmetic update that doesn't have any gameplay associated with it, because it doesn't, you don't play differently just because your house is a different kind of wall kit to another house.
Yeah.
We could instead be putting the artists on something that would have some commercial benefit, like
an update.
A game update, a quest, fixing some of the older bugs in outfits. I think Mod West has some of those in tomorrow's update, in fact. Involving skirts that don't render right or something. Anywho, it's not such a priority to add another cosmetic option. On the other hand, they are very cool things to have, and I'd hope that the artists will be able to be available for it quite soon, because Prif just feels like it warrants it. But it genuinely doesn't have as much impact as it would have done when it was attached to that other project.
Yeah.
It's fair enough that this isn't a very nice thing to have to say, but if we're going to have the artists do something, we'd rather it was something that made more impact on the game than another cosmetic option where you already have others.
Like you look at player-owned houses in general, like the styles and graphical updates that we do, they're expensive in terms of time. I think they're a good 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks of graphical work, and then there's testing, and then there's developing it and plugging it in. It's a lot of stuff and time taken away for what is generally something that people will turn on and then see whenever they teleport back for their their pool or whatever, and then that's it. It's nice, it's just not impactful.
Great Vids points out that some of the things that the artists might be spending their time on aren't things that players always want, like quest bosses in their example there. Well, we are polling the quest, and if you legitimately don't want it, then that's what the poll results will show.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think that quite nicely summarises the situation.
I don't like serious talks. Can we move on to the next question?
It's not to say that we won't do something like this if players want it enough. It's just a case of
because then it starts having
priorities.
Value again.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's got more value than some gameplay content, then sure. But just as we don't, Well, at the moment, we've spent a lot of time changing the gameplay around Last Man Standing. We've got some functional rewards in there already,
Yeah.
and we've got a lot more functional rewards due to be in the next poll based on the blog you may have seen. That kind of thing we hope will have a lot more impact on the game than if we just went with that request to have pets in pest control keeps coming around again.
Yeah.
And we don't think that will have such an impact as the more functional stuff that we can be working on.
Yeah, we're not a game that sells cosmetics to make money, so putting the time into creating those to sell isn't a thing that we do. What we put our time into is to create content that people will subscribe for and stay subscribed for. Like LMS was worth its time because it's brought in people to play, or people have made new accounts to play, and that's what gives us profit from those kind of updates.
And of course, lots of more of you playing the content and having more fun with it suits us. Scrubs020 has a suggestion in the chat for just paying the artists more money. I'm sure they would love this. The good thing is, of course, no, I'm not about to roll out a pay rise for the artists because, funnily enough, the content developers don't control that. But there used to be one artist, now there's 4 artists. I'd say that's the bigger investment in the art of the game than we used to have.
All right, I'm going to move on to our next question.
Is it less serious? Have you read it? Give it a quick glance over.
We can have, yeah. Well, we'll move on to a few suggestions.
Okay.
Can we have a right-click add charges option to the Guardian Mummy from Pyramid Plunder? Going through the dialogue to recharge my Pharaoh Scepter is tedious.
There should be one.
There's a suggestion in the famous backlog, which I think I put there from a player suggestion a few weeks ago, for just a one-click thing in the Mummy's lobby that is a scepter recharger. Makes it a left-click thing, means that you don't have to go through Mummy dialogue.
Cool.
Because ain't none of us want to spend all day talking to a mummy.
Well, the logic pretty much already exists. Just putting it on a location doesn't sound
Pretty
too
much.
difficult.
Some kind of shrine to the gods of Sophanum.
Cool.
Should feel like it fits okay.
Sounds good.
I'm not sure how the mummy's charging the things. I never see him
Do anything.
doing a sort of charging animation.
That's going to be GIF, that one. Did you see that? That's going to be GIF.
I don't recommend doing what holding a cup of tea, by the way.
Cool. Yeah.
Is there any chance we could get a very slow, high-effort, low-return way to get Vials of Blood without doing the Theatre of Blood? This could be from a... Hear us out. This could be from a Firewatch merchant with a limited stock for way above the Grand Exchange price, or from fishing leeches around Mauritania.
To explain my no, I think that
They share it.
content. Zulrah gets a lot of flack, but I think that Zulrah is one of the smartest, economical pieces of content that we have. It is a self-sufficient, self-gaining thing. People don't like feeling obligated to go back and get scales to charge things if you're an Iron Man, by the way. But content that feeds itself is content that will never die. It's always going to have its use. And if we move... So arguably you could say that, the
The
eels...
thing is, the theatre's not necessarily going to die if we allow players to get...
But eventually
Well,
those
that's right,
items, the key items, drop in price. But the core things that keep them charged won't. And now you can use Zulrah scales as an example where we've put eels in the game, but the amount of scales that you get killing it in comparison to getting from the eels are insignificant. But the amount of vials you get per hour already from doing Theatre of Blood is not that high already. Like, we're talking, you'd probably be getting like 2 to 10 vials an hour, maybe every 2 hours at most if we were to do one of these slower methods just as a comparison, which at that point, it's what's the point?
Yeah. It's quite possible that in hindsight we wouldn't do the Sacred Eels, although I note that when we launched them they were really, really unrewarding, and we left them like that for a very long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, looks like we probably wouldn't do something like that then.
Looks like they're not too fussed about us doing it.
It doesn't charge every item too, yeah, I get that. It's just, it keeps its value is what I'm saying, if that makes sense.
A consumable that is going to go out, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be open to reworking armor stands to hold top-tier sets like Bandos and Armadil so that you could display them in your POH?
Yes.
Once they've been added to an armor stand, would you have them be obtainable, as in get them back, or leave them stuck there?
You already get
Sync.
them. You already get them back from the other ones, I believe. It's how armor stands
I
work.
expect it to work the same way for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like that.
Shouldn't be too hard for the artists.
That is a
either.
quick graphical job.
I hope so. I used to be able to handle a model head, so not well enough to do this kind of thing, but almost. And unfortunately, it's been improved lately, and I'm sort of struggling to work out how to use the new versions, so I'm a bit hampered.
Yeah, Grat's Ultimate Iron Man, you get a new storage method for your best in slot armor. I think we'll let you have this one. This one sounds fair to have, I think.
Okay.
It consumes planks when they do.
Yeah. I think obviously there is the benefit for UIM, but if you're at a point where you've got Armadillo and Bandos, we can afford to give you the 2 or 3 extra.
Better than just adding it to the armor case.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it intentional that the Gothixian icon is not tradable? It's odd that the Staff of Balance is tradable while the item used to make it is not. In comparison, the Staff of Light is tradable, as well as the item to make it, Saradomin's Light.
Over time, I think we've learned that whenever you release an item, if you release the component item and it's going to inevitably be cheaper than the actual main item, it's just best to keep the component untradable so that the grand exchange isn't so mismatched for a little while. So there's not silly little profit for bots to make where they buy lots and lots of these sigils and lots of these staffs and they just bot making them and then sell them for 10k profit afterwards. It's unnecessary, really.
I suspect some legit players would like to be able to flip, even if they're not bots. But
yeah.
Fair. I did speak to Rock about this one. He said he's not necessarily against making them tradable if that's what players want. I think maybe now that the Staff of Balance has had some time to be integrated into the game and settle a bit.
We'll fix it special tap button tomorrow, by the way. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
There was also a rumour that its free rune feature didn't work, so I checked that and it does work, so that's not a bug.
Can we please remove ancient effigies from the Revenant's drop table, as they were only a placeholder item now that we've got the PvP, sorry, not PvP weapons, the wilderness weapons available on that table?
They were a placeholder?
This is something I see people say.
I believe you.
They were
I think it was
introduced,
just so that even if there's no specific items you'd go there for, they're still likely good 16, 4 mil drops.
Okay.
And they'd like this removed, would they?
Completely honest, I don't know enough about this to really respond on this one, I'm afraid.
I've seen people asking for it to be removed because we ended up introducing the things they were meant to be placeholding for. So I guess it makes sense if that is the case.
We can ask data to see the amount of money coming in from it and see what the impact removing those items would be. I think is the best way of doing it.
Okay. So we'll look into that one for you guys then. Sounds like quite positive in the chat. Will you ever do month ahead posts anymore? When was the last time we did a month ahead post?
We kind of stopped doing those a while back.
Yes.
For reasons.
It became fairly obvious what was coming out in the forthcoming month because, we'd have polled it. And also, when you're looking ahead towards the end of a month, sometimes, 3-4 weeks away from the launch of an update, we're not 100% sure it's going to pass testing. And having something shift back a week isn't uncommon. Players are usually perfectly good about accepting a delay when we explain, sorry, need a bit more testing and polish time, because you don't want it the other way. And whereas if it has to slip out of one month into the next month, that suddenly becomes a much bigger drama, because it was promised in the June blog, but it's gone in July.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that 1 week was worth it, and we don't think it's going to be a massive improvement if we try and make that commitment and then, I don't know, try to rush development to stick to it.
A more accurate name for the month ahead would probably have been, 2 weeks ahead plus or minus 4 weeks.
Aspirational content.
Yeah.
Content to which we aspire to launch.
It's just one of those things where it's nice that we have the time to, when we need to, push things back without upsetting you. I know it sounds really bad, but if we've told you it's coming next week and it doesn't come, it feels worse than if we say this is coming in the future and here is proof of this thing. Speaking of, follow our Twitter accounts. We usually tweet out in between corgi pictures. And I usually tweet out updates. So.
And no one likes the frustration of things not coming.
Yeah. So now we're usually quite careful with wording when we show things on Twitter. So we more commonly say coming in the few upcoming weeks, or every now and then we will specifically say this Thursday if it is done, and we know it is done for this Thursday.
Early August then?
Speaking of things happening this Thursday, our next 2 questions were asked but happen to be in tomorrow's update, so I'll ask them anyway.
Go ahead.
Right now there's a bug in free-to-play LMS that you can't cast ancient magics on the dogs because it says you have to be on a members server.
A fix for that's in tomorrow's update.
And when will Snare come to free-to-play?
Tomorrow's update.
That's coming in tomorrow's
Yeah,
update.
it's a good job we did some of this.
Yeah.
It's worth the thing about the Ancients on free to play. I'm pretty sure that's been like that since 2016.
Oh, right.
Do you want to talk a bit more about some of the other things coming tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have Din's Bulwark nerf, dropped down to 0 mage defense instead of plus 18. We have the Granite Maul nerf coming as well, so it now does 60% for your special attack, but we've also implemented an attachment that you can purchase that you can combine with it, and on death, the person who kills you gets a little bit more cash. That thing's sunk out of the game, and you have to create it again. So we're not entirely killing that, we're just making it a bit more of an expensive trade-off to have such a powerful weapon.
It's powerful, but if you want to have that power, this is the additional price.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have the Elven graphics changes.
That's the one.
We have the
Skin.
duration to the Bind, Snare and Entangle, by the way. So.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, so the spells on the standard spellbook aren't halved when you have Magic Prayer on, and yeah, all the elf models are getting their skin color from purple to white, and their faces are being changed to be more like the Eleanor rework that we did that you guys preferred, as in the second iteration.
Yeah.
The one that you guys pulled in. So yeah. Quite a few updates. There's also a couple of other things, but you'll see them in the news post tomorrow.
So as Tom Pendragon insightfully points out, yeah, we haven't polled some of these rebalancing changes. We found that polling bug fixes and balancing changes back in 2013 really didn't work out very well for the game, and we are no longer offering to do that, I'm afraid. If we feel that something really does need addressing for the game's longevity and balance, that's not going to be subject to a poll. So.
Good job, NSG221. You've got a good question there. I can't tell you if in LS we replaced it with a specific upgraded GMod version, but I will check that right after this.
I believe it's, in that one, it's keeping the 50%.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, because when the dev was working on this one, they liaised with Rock to ensure that we knew what LMS was going to have, and Rock has checked what it's going to have.
Cool. I was off for that update, so I couldn't tell you.
On the topic of the variants of the Granite Maul, I do like the job Mod Rye has done on the upgrade. It looks awesome, especially the version where you've already put a clamp on. You will also be able to upgrade with this.
There is a pretty version of the new one.
And that looks amazing as well. So hopefully you guys will agree when it's in game tomorrow.
Pretty fancy hammer.
Very fancy looking.
There was much discussion about whether its handle was chonky.
It was a little chunky.
Apparently, it was just the angle it was at. It looked fine if you reoriented the chonky handle. It became actually quite a slimline.
Yeah, it was a matter of perspective affecting the perceived length. I'll move on to our next question, which is... hold it together, Wolf. Most quests give a round amount of experience as a reward, like 5,000 crafting XP from Elemental Workshop or 7,000 XP from Rum Deal.
I know what this is going to be. Go on.
Why do some give bizarrely specific amounts? Murder Mystery gives 1,406 crafting XP. Does this have some significance, as Priest in Peril also gives this amount in prayer?
So, go ahead, please.
Well, the same dev wrote both of them, and
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if he...
Use a formula of some kind.
Well, he also had a certain tendency to play around with, not doing round numbers. Like, he wrote the Wanted quest, which has the kill tally for White Knights, Black Knights, etc. And in the code for that one, there was I think it was a 1 in 50 chance of it incrementing the counter by 50 rather than by 1 when you kill the thing. With a comment in the code saying super secret bonus, spelled that way, to muck up people's counters. So I think when he used a number that was a bit funky, he did it to troll you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He also wrote Friendly Trials.
I did find out at one point though, if you look at our really old back-end system stuff for how to give quest XP rewards, there is actually a guide on how much experience to give. And there is kind of a mini formula that I guess only he ever looked at.
He might have written it, and
So yeah, there is reasoning behind it, and it's somewhere hidden in our super secret archives.
Interesting.
But yeah, nobody used it because why give you 1,000 XP when I can give you? Why give you 993 XP when I can give you 1,000?
Yeah.
The only thing I could have thought is if you're at a specific level, that specific amount of XP will get to another level.
Yeah, it'll be like a percentage probably, and then you.
Right.
Yeah.
I liked his humour, although it's not expressed at its best through the use of 1406 XP. But the pirate dialogue he wrote in Chapter 1 of Lunar Diplomacy is some of my favourite chat in the game. He didn't write Chapters 2 and 3 when you actually get to Lunar Isle, because he moved on to the project that became Stellar Dawn, in fact, and handed over to Mod Tim to do the rest of Lunar Diplomacy. So he just spent his final weeks on RuneScape, as it was, writing funny chat for pirates and possibly having a lot of fun.
Alternatively, maybe he just needed that much experience to his skills and he just wanted to develop a quest that gave him that level. I know that's what I did with runecrafting. The only reason there's a runecrafting requirement in there is because I want some runecrafting XP. I'm kidding, it's a joke. It's a joke. It does actually work playing to the quest.
I'd have believed that.
No.
You had me sold. Okay, just as a heads up, I realise we're about halfway into the stream and we're almost halfway through our questions. Obviously, with the stuff that comes at the beginning, we may end up ending a bit sooner than usual. But if you have any questions, we unfortunately don't have a mod available collecting them, but feel free to put them in the chat. And if anyone on the sofa spots a question they'd like to just jump in with.
Spam now.
So I can see Nine has asked about progress, about XP goals. And whether you could set a target XP or target level and see your progress towards it. The XP drops we've got, if you right click the button that toggles them on and off, you'll find a setup menu, and in the lower portion of that you can set individual goals for each skill, or a goal for total XP, and you can use that menu to customize the progress bar, the XP output at the top, so that it shows your progression on the bar towards whatever goal you set, or towards your next level if you haven't bothered setting one, or whatever. It handles, counting from where you started. It handles progression to a goal you set. It's there on the right-click menu of the XP drops.
Law asked about why we added another 3-tick weapon, even though we already have the ham and the RPG launcher. Generally, it's because the methods of getting those aren't really fun, and they don't really look like weapons.
Who doesn't like clue scrolls?
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right.
I really dislike clue scrolls.
Well,
I mean,
as a player.
The ham did fill the niche it was intended to fill, but
It also looks stupid.
it's a bit silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll move on to our next question, saying the quest cape is becoming increasingly difficult to obtain, but the reward it yields is a bit, it says a bit underwhelming here. I don't know if I would agree, but it says at least that it stays the same. Would it be possible to include a teleport to the champions, heroes, and myths guild to the cape as well?
No.
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 The quest cape's a really good quest. It's really
It takes you
good.
straight to a fairy ring, right?
Right to a fairy ring.
Which is great. I could understand maybe the champion and heroes guild, but the myths guild I would say not.
You can get there with the chronicle and the bloody not glory, Dragonstone necklace anyway.
And the Mist
Right.
Cape.
Yeah.
Mist Cape.
Okay. So probably wouldn't look to buff the diary cape regardless of how...
Quest cape.
Sorry, quest cape, regardless of how difficult it gets in the future. Okay.
you
Fair?
do get a little more time in Tears of Gothics, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're already being rewarded for doing those quests.
Yeah, this is true.
Someone was asking me what the rules are for time in Tears of Gothics. It's really, really simple. Like, a game tick is 0.6 of a second. You get 1 game tick in there per quest point. So the total maximum goes up by...
Fremnic Exiles gives you another 1.2 seconds of runecrafting XP. Yes.
Yep, glub glub with your bowl. Cold Sherpa would like to know when the house notice board thing's coming out. Maz has been working very hard on that one and it's been going through testing. She's tweaked a few things, added some slightly improved usability based on how the first draft felt. And while it's not coming tomorrow, I would hope that we can have it pretty soon after that.
I like the graphic work that I believe Mod West did for that as well, of the little signpost next to the house portals that's going to appear.
He and Dry worked on that project. I'm not sure which of them did that bit.
Okay.
Might have been either of them.
Can the gnome scarf be added to the costume room? Sure.
You do it.
No. Ash will do it. I don't like touching that thing. I've seen too many things go wrong with that.
So have I.
I hate the one where because a surprisingly easy bug to make when adding a thing to that is being able to put it in, but then when you click it, it just gives you an item and it doesn't take it out, so you can just infinitely get them. Or, yeah, that one's a worrying one I've seen. That's actually really easy to do as a bug. So no.
Given what we had to do to it last week for the locked versions of various items, that was a hairy update, which I think you would not have enjoyed testing then.
No.
So ModRock helped test it.
Last man standing rewards are going to be polled after the current poll for Fremnik Exiles. Is it possible we could see some form of uniques for Larrans keys, in brackets Wilderness Slayer, on a poll shortly after?
I don't know when the next poll is after that, to be honest. We were literally talking about this like earlier today about when our next qual poll is.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really say, to be honest.
Well, this is something I've looked into a little bit, because with the Bounty Hunter rework, if we're removing emblems from Wilderness Slayer, there will be a demand to increase value, again, to sort of make up for that. So we have talked about rewards that we could potentially add to Larran's chest. I don't know if I want to say what we're considering or not. I don't know if we should spoil it for them.
I don't even know what they are, so spoil it for me.
Things that we've considered. Dagon High Robes was a nice one that I think we discussed adding. It would maybe require a bit of rebalancing, because some feedback when we initially offered it was that maybe it was a bit too powerful. But we could potentially add that as a set to the Larran's chest. And there was another one, I think, an upgrade for the Amulet of Avarice, potentially. That's something else players have asked for, and thematically it kind of fits. So yes, we are considering adding things to the Larran's chest to make it a bit better, but it's likely to come from, or at least with, the Bounty Hunter stuff, rather than anything else. But yeah, something we're considering. I've just been notified by our producer that we've got the wonderful ModRock gathering your questions now, so if you would like us to ask anything, at Old School RS in the chat, and ModRock will gather those for you. Well, for us.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are you're gonna hate this next one. Can we get a cannon box or bag so that it doesn't take up 4 spaces in the inventory?
No! Come on, move. I'm not even going to explain that one. Let's just move on. Inventory space is a core MMO mechanic, especially for RuneScape when you only have 28. There you go.
You not even with sufficiently difficult content to obtain it.
No. It's a no.
Okay.
It's not even needed. I've never really had much of an issue. Like, unless you want to be really greedy and get those extra.
What was his name?
Med helms.
I redacted all the names.
All the names have been redacted from this week. See, when I host, I get the names and I call them out because that was not a good question.
All right. I'll move swiftly on then. Can looting bags be allowed in Barbarian Assault? Currently, Ultimate Iron Men have to die before they can play the minigame. Would that be possible at all, or would it just cause too many potential issues?
We've, with LMS recently, been investigating spreading around that beautiful system of
holding items.
Yes,
for UIM.
without
Right.
dying. But if we were to give that to everything, it wouldn't be a small job, I think.
No, it really wouldn't.
And it's quite a dangerous thing to do when it's not in areas that aren't as secluded as, say, all the way to the right of Clan Wars or in an instance area.
Well, consider why the specific item is blocked in there in the first place. It maybe just doesn't need to be. Because you can't get stuff out of it in there.
How's the looting bag?
Yeah,
The looting bag.
we could just let it in.
We could.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a much quicker fix, and I like that one.
All right, then maybe yes, we'd consider doing that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on adding a feature similar to Quick Chat? This would allow players to announce their skills to other players in game. For example,
How long did that take originally?
my Slayer level is
I don't
99.
actually know how long the engine team spent on that, but I don't see us taking them off other projects to make it again. Sorry.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is there any possibility of if we dumbed it down to do it ourselves, like if I could just right-click a skill and say my skill is this or my total level is this, just those, could we do ourselves?
Well, what you can do is, rather than using the chat system at all, find all the players in a small radius and just use a game message, something that is distinctly from the game rather than from chat, to state the player's XP level in the skill, and that could be a right click on the skill button. It would, of course, potentially be a little spammy, so we'd need to make sure that other players could ignore it and respect the ignore list and things like that. But I expect we could output that kind of thing. Making it go through the friends system or chat channels is more problematic, but in terms of being able to flex to people near you, we could output that number. That kind of number anyway.
Okay. I don't know how popular that would actually be based on what the chat has said, but so it sounds like we could maybe do it if it were popular enough.
I mean, who has friends to show their stats, right?
Well, it's a sad world when you can't trust people flexing about a computer game achievement to be telling the truth.
It's a weird world at the moment, Modash. It's a weird world right now.
Would it be possible to add lap counts and personal best times to other agility courses similar to the Prifddinas course?
It would be possible. Yeah. I questioned it being added to the Elf City one in the first place anyway, but we can do it for the rest of them if you guys want that.
Okay. I think the timer would probably not be necessary on other...
Especially the other ones which don't have any RNG at all.
Right.
You can constantly do tick perfect laps without any fail.
Right.
Whereas at least at Prifddinas, there's a bit of RNG based on which poll you're going to get. So
I think, I wouldn't mind offering a lap count, to be honest. It looks kind of sexy when you're like going from 1 to 99. You can go to your achievement tab inside your house and go, look at all the laps I did.
Yeah,
like, that's pretty nice.
That's true.
But what if I'm already 99?
If you're already 99, it sucks to be you, doesn't it?
Then you had 99 with 0 laps. Easy.
That's even more impressive.
Can Zulcano be added to the minigame tab? Most people do it in small groups, and the built-in clan chat would make things a lot easier.
What was that one, sorry?
Could we add Zulcano, the skilling boss from Prifddinas, released with Song of the Elves?
Yes.
You use your mining, runecrafting and smithing skills to...
I'm not going to lie, mate. It's just I wasn't listening when you said the question. I know what the content is. Go ahead, sorry.
Can we add that to the minigame drop-down menu, which would allow you to join a CC specifically for that group?
No. Do we do it to the Wintertodt?
Not with the is there a no, I don't think there is a Wintertodt
then
one.
No.
We really didn't feel the need to help more people get to the Wintertodt. So kind of on the other hand, I wouldn't be so opposed, because...
Why so?
Well...
You have direct teleport to there as the same way that you do with Wintertodt when you unlock that piece of content.
I guess it's just that the Wintertodt was really quite popular and rewarding in a way that... so kind of ain't wanting for the item rewards, but I just figured it would be slightly more worth buffing in that regard.
I just don't want to slightly devalue the infinite teleport crystal on anything.
I think we could offer it similar to some of the other things on that list, is without the teleport and just for people wanting to group up with other players.
Oh, yeah, that we can do.
Yeah.
I think arguably, though, if you just added a Zulcano-themed world, which we don't currently have... Something Carno-themed world, it would probably get rid of the problem as well, because you wouldn't have to look for people. You could just go to that world.
Okay. I think either of those solutions work quite nicely. I think we do want to encourage things like this, where you've got players grouping up for activities.
100%. We definitely do just the chat, for sure.
Cool. Could the Xerix Talisman have the teleports show up when right-clicked instead of having to left-click first?
On what?
The Xerix Talisman, when worn or in your inventory.
When it's worn, it has to have a pop-up because there's a lot of teleports.
Yeah.
When it's in the player-owned house, similarly, I think there is a left-click that opens a thing, and I think the right-click remembers your previous use.
There's a left-click which teleports you to your chosen left-click option.
That's the one.
And there's a right-click which shows everything. And if you don't want a pre-selected left-click, you can just have the entire thing pop up.
Okay. All right. I think the...
I pulled the pure sense card out. I'm really sorry. The chat's having my head for it. I'm sorry, Mod Bruno.
Roast him, guys.
Is this about how you pronounce the name of the thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I think it's not. I think it's a pretty common thing, because on Reddit, everyone spells it Zal, Zul, or Zol.
I spelt it wrong about 20 times.
Me too.
So.
Ardoin. For what it's worth, many of them point out they don't want to find lots of other people to play it with.
That's also true. It is the kind of content that's meant to be grouped, but people prefer it with smaller people.
We can give it a themed world, and then they know to avoid it.
Could we have a claim X or claim all option for receiving gear from the achievement diary NPCs for people who want loads of Kandarin headgear or Varrock armor?
Yeah, the thing what I did for Ava's giving out orbs of damage, locator orbs.
Locator orbs.
Yes,
Orbs of
the thing I
damage.
did. Yeah,
I like that.
Great balls of fire, whatever. Yeah, we can use that again.
Okay. I think when we did it for the ghostly robes, it came with a really nice. I think the menu for that was new, but we could probably put the same one on the achievement diary gear. That would be.
If I recall, it's all the Make X interface, just with different parameters.
We like using the Make X interface.
Which is what Ava's got
yeah.
on the orbs of hurting yourself thing.
Yeah, it does.
Actually, I've just seen quite a good suggestion which I'm going to make.
Go on.
Well, Perdue.
Who's it from?
Well, it's from. I'm not going to say that word because it's a foreign word and I don't know what it means.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a risk.
But,
Which one?
the Finnish one. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what that word means. I'm not going to say it. But Perdue has all the achievement diary items, but it's really painful to buy them from him because you have to buy one, select OK, and then repeat.
Could we know why those have confirmed options on at all?
Yeah. Could we just make it so that you can just right-click buy X?
Yes. And for that matter, normal shops, left-click is value, so it doesn't actually do a transaction. Right-clicks do all the various buying things. We can make Perdue more like that. What's worth, Perdue was first made in the days before we had an interface editor, which rather limited what we could offer at the time. But we can rework that kind of thing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's very cheap, only 200 each, so I don't think anyone's complaining about the price.
Maybe cap how many they can purchase in one go, just so they're not spending max cash on, Pandering headgear
It's
full.
stackable, but
I'd be impressed if they managed to pull that off in the first place.
You're stepping a keyboard on the 9 key and then you press enter by accident.
beyond the point, well, if we let their inventory overflow, then they could have the things just pile on the floor underneath them as they burn.
They can only have 27 as well. I think they're fine.
They can only spend like 1,400, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody really, really wants to spend all their money on that.
Who are we to deny them? That's it
I don't
for
want to tell them they don't want it, really. I can tell them it's not good for them.
That's it for all of our pre-gathered questions. So again, Modrock is watching the chat at Old School RuneScape if you want to have your question answered. I'm going to move on to the chat questions now. Sorry, Ash. Looks like you
I
wanted
was
to
going to say, Gary the Small asks about changing the Puro trade menu. Yeah, I'd like that. It's in the old interface format from before 06. Which surprises me because I thought it came out after that point. But which means that to edit it, we have to, I think, recreate it from scratch before we can even change the slightest thing about it. But I think it would be quite good to do for usability.
The new clamp that is coming out tomorrow, the attachment, is not...
Ornate handle.
Yes, is not from the Grotesque Guardians. It's from the Bounty Hunter shop. We did contemplate doing a Grotesque Guardians, but we went against it.
Yeah, so that upgrade item, I don't know if we said earlier, is going to cost
1.25 million points.
Yeah, 1.25 million points and drops, I think, 375k cash if you lose it. We changed it from the original Always Left on Death to just a standard item that, well, a standard sort of +1 that you either risk or don't risk. All right, I'm going to move on to the chat questions now. I'll include the usernames now because Modrock has put them in there, so people will be held accountable for their suggestions.
Here we go, my favourite. Oh, chat questions are always hit and miss. These are going to be great. Get ready.
Well, the first one's actually quite tame, but I'll ask it anyway. From Frosty, I'm not going to say that. Frosty something asks if there's a piece, if there's a specific, it's not even that bad, but I'm just going to play it safe. Is there a specific date for the advertising sign outside of the player-owned houses?
Yes.
Have we answered that one?
Yes.
It is currently in QA right now, and you can expect it within the next 1 to 3 weeks-ish.
Okay. Papa Power asks if we can add the Pyromancer gloves and torch to the wardrobe in your POH. At the moment, you can only store the head to boots.
That's because of it's like that because it doesn't add anything to the set. It could.
We could.
We could also just let you store the thing separately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Which they might prefer.
Is it possible to, sorry, this is from Eric, is it possible to let your character move when opening seed boxes from farming contracts?
Why does that stop?
Possibly because
object
what
box.
developer didn't really want you to have items filling your inventory as you move to places that are different from where you were when the code checked it.
That makes sense.
That said, it's probably not. Probably wouldn't do a whole lot of harm, so might be fine.
I think the herb boxes behave the same way, whereby you have to be stood
Yeah.
still to open them.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, possibly. I just don't like changing things like that, just in case something breaks.
Okay.
We don't have the code to check. Sorry.
Can we make? This is from Suddude. He wants to know if we can make cannons drop on death in the wilderness. The benefit of the bonus Slayer XP at no risk seems silly.
I've mentioned before that I think it could be done. The tricky bit would be deciding whether or not it should drop or whether it should count as among your top valuable items, since it wouldn't have been in your inventory to work with the code that checks for the most valuable items in your inventory.
What?
So a tricky hack would be involved.
What do we do? We do something else with an item similar to this. I can't remember. Not like items that we drop specifically just in the wilderness. So there's a. I can't remember what we did it for. It was
Are we talking about chin chompers?
Chin chompers, there we go. Like, it kind of feels like one of those scenarios where it's, do we feel as though the risk is worth, like, you're losing cannonballs, right?
Yeah.
You lose that, and generally that's a lot more money than a cannon, because people are, kind of arrogant and think, haha, I can take all my stack of cannonballs, nobody will kill me, and then they cry when they lose 30k of them from that person who's hunting for a spade person. But I think that the cannonballs alone is enough risk, generally.
I mean, if you PK them once they've got a cannon on them, not only do they have less items, like food, as we brought up earlier,
True.
but they're also probably not going to save it unless they're risking absolutely nothing, and that's pretty good money.
Yeah.
I like that comparison to the value of the spade.
No, I don't know. I never PK over 1,000 cannonballs. Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, is it as bad as chin chompers where people were risking literally nothing and would just drop them and release them, so it's unfair?
Yeah.
And I don't think it is. You're still getting something, is what I mean, like of an okay-ish value. As to whether or not they should have the 800k, yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it might reduce other issues like safe spotting some of the wilderness bosses, for example, as like a knock-on effect, but that's probably not the way we'd want to go about changing that anyway.
Yeah, and I know they mean the players will always have the kind of. It's just one of those things where it's like, is the 800k drop worthwhile potentially scaring more people for you to kill away from using the cannon in there anyway?
Right.
Right? Like.
Yeah, because if you're going to risk 750k every single time, you're not going to bring the cannon at all.
That's so it's like, at least if they're taking it, you're getting the cannonballs and the rest of their dropping. Alternatively, they just cannon somewhere else and don't do Wilderness Slayer.
Right. It may have sort of the opposite effect of what we're looking for.
I'm not sure if that would be the case, but I feel as though, considering how powerful Crawl's bow is on its own anyway, people would just use that and lose the cannon. Yeah.
Okay. I'll move on to our next question from Val. They want to know what the origin of sand crabs is. What was their original purpose, if not for AFK training?
AFK training.
Yeah, they're sort of
Shoot to
assuming.
rock crabs,
Yeah.
which can't be cannoned.
Right. Yeah, they're sort of assuming here that that wasn't the purpose. I think it was, right?
And then there's ammonite crabs.
Yeah.
And then there's log crabs in Mauritania.
Yeah.
And yeah, so essentially, whenever we release a new piece, when we
Log
release
crabs?
new piece of Mauritania in sleep in that area,
okay.
you can also cast bloom on them, and when you kill them, they drop Mauritania fungi,
Wow.
which not many people know.
Wow.
But yes, they it's just one of those more areas to kill things that are relatively crowded for people who do a little bit more.
Why Ryan is asking about, in Song of the Elves, a problem where a tree elf won't spawn. There's a section in that quest where you have to find an elf who's around some trees, and we've seen reports that if you're using certain alternate unofficial clients, for some reason the elf doesn't appear, whereas if you use ours it does. I'm not sure what's going on with them there, but Ryan, perhaps give it a check on our client, see if that helps for what you've got, and if it doesn't, right-click the bug report button right-click the report button in the game. You'll find a bug report form there, so you can let our testers know what's up, and that form also gathers info about exactly what quest state your account's in to help them diagnose it with slightly more info than you could probably have been expected to type into the Twitch chat.
Let's, how much? We've got 3 more minutes? 4 minutes?
About that, 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah.
Let's ask as many questions as possible because Morcoom_ is very angry right now that
we're not getting through enough questions. Okay.
Let's speed it up a little bit. Sorry, Morcoom_.
Does Kingdom keep running if you run out of membership?
Yes. In fact, it doesn't care what you do between visits to the Kingdom. It just looks at the time since your last interaction with the Kingdom's features.
Yep.
And during that time, you might have been logged in, logged out, subscribed, unsubscribed, banned, moved to North Korea. Whatever you do in that time, it just checks duration since your last visit.
When Donald Trump, when he visited North Korea, and we got that one login from North Korea that day, we went,
But that makes sense.
maybe he plays. Who knows?
That said, if you do want the best return from your Kingdom, you should be topping it up as often as possible.
That is also
it does check daily, right? Could we add a note tab like the one we had on RS2? Would be really useful for planning XP, levels, quests, items, etc.
I don't know what it would take to do that, Ash, I'm afraid.
The notes.
Yeah.
Notes.
His engine.
Okay.
And of all the things we could have the engine team doing, that one felt like you could probably recreate it with a piece of paper and a pencil or Windows notepad or something. Yeah. So we've not asked them to spend time on that one.
Can the Gauntlet drop rate be released in the near future? We usually leave drop rates and that kind of thing to be released. We leave that decision usually with the lead dev on content. So in this case, this would be Mod Ed, I believe. And I think he has said that he would like to release this stuff maybe a bit later down the line. We can ask him about that for you. But yeah, that's not public yet. We'll let you guys know about that one.
The last time I saw that team comment on it, the answer was not yet. Make sure you're following them all on Twitter, though. Mods Lenny, Mod Ed,
@JagXLenny, @JagXEd, @JagXCurse.
Yeah, follow them all on Twitter to make sure that if they tweet it, you're among the first to know.
There you go.
Shameless plug.
That was a good shame. It wasn't a shameless, it was on for you, @JagXAsh.
They follow me already.
Tell me, @JagXGambit, what's the next question?
Well, actually, that brings us to the end of our questions, sadly. I mean, we have a couple minutes left to answer any that pop up in the chat, but in the meantime, I also want to ask, is the Granite Mold nerf coming tomorrow? Yes, it is, alongside the Din's Bulwark. If you missed it earlier, we're also changing Bind, Snare, and Entangle. They're going to no longer be limited in their duration by the Protect from Magic Prayer, and also we're releasing Snare to free-to-play. We chose not to do that for Entangle because there were concerns about it being too powerful. We're also seeing some graphical changes to Elves as a result of the poll that we held shortly after the Song of the Elves release.
And also from the blog where we talked about some of these balancing things a long time back, there was an item in there about changing Mage Arena 2 capes and how they behave when dropped on death. That one's not in tomorrow's update, but is still in development and making its way through testing.
Any chance of releasing the other 2 large boss giant equivalencies? We'd like to in the future. It's just not really top of the agenda right now.
What agenda are we pushing?
Someone asking about LMS.
Runefest.
Yes.
Yes, in the update tomorrow, there are quite a few changes to Last Man Standing following the release based on your guys' feedback and suggestions. Several of them are quite small, sort of nice tweaks and fixes. I don't think there's anything too major in there that I can think of.
It's mostly fixes. The Moser final zone, you know, if the final safe place is the Moser settlement, the final zone's moving 2 steps to the west so that it doesn't include a couple of tiles of the adjacent buildings upstairs bit, since people do like going there. That'll change.
Who's that guy? Roth's child. Don't swear. I'm not answering your question now. Tweet it at me, and I will answer it with you, so long as it has no swears.
Okay, there you go.
What else can we get him to do if we don't swear at him?
Sometimes I like being sweared at. Motivation.
Oh, I see. Right.
Sworn? Not sweared. Sworn.
There's a question there about the Oculus Orb. Can it be released to the wider game? I'm not necessarily the best place to comment on the status of that or how close we are to being able to release it fully, but there is a place on the forums. You have to do a little bit of digging, something along the lines of Oculus Orb applications where you can ask for one. I'll admit it's been a while. I was away last week, so I haven't had a chance to look through them, but I'll make sure to do that soon and give some out.
Cool. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Little tidbit of information. We are currently working on our scripts and slides for the Runefest reveals this year. I've finished my script about
exciting.
what I'm talking about, so I'm quite excited. And I know that some other people are writing theirs up right now. Oh, look at that. Perfect timing. Thank you, producer John. So please do pick up your tickets. If not, we will also be live streaming, so make sure that you tune in and watch that. I'm sure there'll be broadcasts on the day to go ahead and watch it. The schedule is also up now, I believe.
It is, yes. That's live on our website and on the app. Make sure to download it if you're interested, and !Runefest to get your tickets.
I'm really excited. Sadly, Mod Ed won't be presenting this year, Yuli.
Fortunately, he's got, I think is it Kieran talking about his designs for him. Ed himself is sadly unavailable at the time, but his content will still be coming to the game, or at least coming to a poll.
Yes.
And I think Kieran will talk about it from the great stage.
And it's good content. Oh, it's so close. It's like a month. What day is it? The 4th. It's less than a month.
Yeah.
It's exactly a
It's
month.
a month now.
Is it the 4th?
Yeah.
I thought it was the 3rd. Oh, the 3rd is the...
No, the 4th is the night before.
Yeah, oh, I also go to the night before as well.
Ah, yeah, well.
So, have you ever been to the night before the night before?
Pre-Runefest.
Yeah.
Everyone's there.
And then pre-Runefest as well on the Wednesday.
The best.
But yes,
Remember there being that much to do in that town.
there is... Oh, you know what? There is a Weatherspoons.
There's a Wetherspoons.
And
We're not
that's all you
disparaging
like
Farnborough
Wetherspoons.
at all. We're very happy with the location and the venue that we've chosen.
Yeah.
But obviously the main reason to be there at all this year is for
Wetherspoons.
Runefest in October.
And also, The Rock was there last year.
Was he?
When we were doing Runefest, The Rock was in
yes, that's true.
the hotel that we were at, and we were all like, oh my god, it's The Rock! Oh my
What
god!
was he made of us?
Can you smell what it's cooking?
All right. I realise we've gone over time, so I'm going to wrap things up there. We've just sort of gone over the announcements again, so no need to repeat them. I'm going to thank everyone on the sofa for joining me this week, and for you guys for watching, of course. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye!